Hi, my name's Librandi and this is my VIVA presentation for Maths Education 1 Assignment 2. This video will outline 3 sequential planned activities based in a preschool setting with children aged 3 to 5, and the focus of these activities will be the mathematical concept of geometry, more specifically 2D shapes. The overall purpose of the teaching of this topic is that so children can become familiar with the more general 2D shapes. This will also encourage them to become more familiar with geometry concepts so that when they enter formal school settings, they can feel more comfortable in learning the mathematical concepts such as 3D shapes, fractions, angles, and so on. The following 3 activities I'm about to discuss are based off hypothetical observations. So observations I would expect to see in the context of a preschool setting with children surrounding the topic of geometry, 2D shapes. So the hypothetical provocation that inspired my next 3 activities are basically that children would have been seen interacting with some sort of 2D shape activity and they would have been showing a particular interest in 2D shapes, which would prompt me as the educator to further implement activities that would build upon their understandings of this interest. The first activity in my 3 activity sequence is a prior knowledge activity, and this activity will explore children's prior knowledge, meaning it will uncover what they know, do not know, and perhaps what they need to further extend on. So this activity will be a sensory bin, and within this sensory bin we'll incorporate water play and foam shapes. Other materials will be included such as scoops, tongs, pegs and spoons, just other concrete materials to further extend engagement and participation by the children. The educator's role within this first experience will be to basically step back and allow the children to explore the sensory bin and investigate the contents inside. The educator will be a parallel player working alongside, asking questions but not really getting involved in the play, so the children will be prompted along and encouraged to talk about 2D shapes and what they know, but the teacher will just watch, and this is an opportunity for them to basically take observations and see what they will need to assess in the following 2 activities. Now that I have uncovered the children's prior knowledge in the first activity and gathered a sense for what they know and do not know, I'm able to plan my next 2 follow-up activities. My second activity will involve shape sorting, and this shape sorting activity will take place perhaps during circle time. This is so the teacher can incorporate a lot more scaffolding and modelling than what would take place in the first activity of the sensory bin. Within the shape sorting activity, the educator will have already placed masking tape on the mat, and the masking tape will represent the basic shapes of 2D shapes such as squares, triangles, circles, rectangles. And the educator will also provide a basket of 2D wooden shapes that you might just find in the classroom. And children are asked and prompted to sort the shapes from the basket into the masking tape shapes. Although the teaching of this sorting game is collaborative and it will be implemented during circle time, the educator will leave it untouched and maintained in its station so that children can revisit and independently interact with the activity throughout the whole day. This second experience is more intentional than the first one, so the teacher's role is to scaffold and model a little bit more heavily than what was done with the sensory bin. Also, assessment can take place further into this activity as the teacher is given the opportunity to ask more relevant questions such as, how can we sort these shapes? What different ways can we sort them? What do you think will go into this certain masking tape shape? And the educator is given the opportunity to jot down more observations, take pictures of the learning, and basically see what learning is occurring at that moment. Activity 3 yet again will continue building on children's knowledge of 2D shapes, and this activity will incorporate a shape hunt. The shape hunt encourages children to go out and explore and investigate the outside environment of the preschool setting, and they are given the opportunity to look for 2D shapes in their environment. For example, man-made or natural objects such as the sandpit. They might think the sandpit resembles a square, or perhaps a ball resembles a circle, or a leaf resembles a triangle. And they are also provided with a shape handbook. This handbook includes pictures of the 2D shapes that they can refer back to if they need a quick reminder or a little bit of guidance for what they're looking for. This third experience is very open-ended. It includes free play. It allows the children to explore and investigate their environment. And this means that the educator is again given the opportunity to step back and observe. So this might include taking pictures of the children as they wander around their environment, or asking questions and recording children's answers along the way. Just like the second planned experience of the shape sorting, this third experience of the shape hunt serves to follow up the first prior knowledge experience. So within these two follow-up activities, the educator is given the chance to assess now what children know and do not know, and throughout the rest of the unit, which will include further extended activities, the educator can view children's progress and see what knowledge they have acquired over this time. To support the learning and teaching of this topic of geometry, I will also display lots of shape related materials around the classroom so children can refer back when they need some guidance. As I discussed earlier in this video, the purpose of the teaching and learning of this topic is to continue building children's understandings and knowledge around 2D shapes. So making connections between what they look like, how we can classify them, and how they appear in our everyday lives. It is through ongoing evaluation and reflection throughout this topic that I am able to continuously observe and assess that I am in fact informing children's knowledge and understandings regarding 2D shapes. Ongoing assessment will look something like asking similar questions at the beginning of the topic and the same at the end of the topic. For example, what is a shape? What do shapes look like? How do we sort shapes? Also, taking written notes in a journal, so taking down jottings and anecdotal notes throughout the activity sequence. Also taking photographs, perhaps via the classroom iPad, being able to take concrete photographs what is happening at that exact time and place. Also, I would like to implement learning stories so I can have a way of keeping track of individual progress. Of course, these two follow-up activities will not conclude the topic of geometry and 2D shapes, so there will be a range of extended activities to complete the unit. Now to wrap up this explanation, the first activity will uncover children's prior knowledge through open-ended free play that prompts students to explore and investigate 2D shapes within a sensory bin. The second activity is collaborative and intentional and asks students to sort and classify shapes through scaffolding and modelling by the educator. The third activity is a shape hunt, which encourages children to go out into their preschool environment and explore the natural and man-made objects around them and how these objects connect to 2D shapes.